Where do we even begin with Rishi Sunak's plans to scrap HS2 and replace it with an upgrade for the North and the Midlands? There are so many problems in what he said, as well as the 40-page document. The document itself created a number of controversies, but even before it was released, Rishi was denying that this document was being prepared or any decision had been made on HS2.
What is the situation with HS2 coming all the way to Manchester?
All I can say is I'm not going to be forced into a premature decision because it's good for someone's TV programme. What I want to do is make the right decision for the country. This is an enormous amount of people's money, taxpayers' money, everybody watching, billions and billions of pounds. We shouldn't be rushed into things like that. What people would expect from me is to take the time to go over it properly and make sure we make the right long-term decision for the country.
When he released it at the Manchester conference for the Conservatives, it turned out that there had been a document in preparation, 40 pages, but it clearly had been rushed because it contained a plethora of mistakes. We could start with the opening pages, which has a map showing all the new rail network ideas that they're going to come up with, which as you can see goes to the south, but we'll come on to that later. But in this particular instance, for whatever reason, Rishi's guys thinks Manchester is in Preston. And as we're on Manchester, we could talk about the amazing idea of establishing a Metrolink tram between Greater Manchester and Manchester Airport. The only problem being, it was already established in 2014. But that's not the end of the world, is it? We can all make mistakes, even though it's too about Manchester and showing that you didn't really know anything about Manchester. But there can't be more. Well, there can. In Sunak's video, which you're watching right now, he claims that they would quadruple the number of trains between Sheffield and Leeds.
That means we can quadruple the number of trains from Sheffield to Leeds.
That would put it on par with the London Underground, because there are already 5 going every hour both ways, which means Rishi is promising 20 trains an hour. That's 1 every 3 minutes. Once again, whoever wrote this document on Rishi's behalf has made an absolute mess of it, because Network North had already promised that there would be fast trains between the 2 Yorkshire cities, and it's already been established.
So which was more embarrassing, not knowing where Manchester is or not knowing that the tram was open? Which was more embarrassing for you?
Neither of those were the case.
Good
but
Lord.
as Nick, as a member of Parliament for the Midlands and the North, I am absolutely sure that the Conservative Party both understands what the Midlands and the North
But they don't
is
know
about
where they
and
are,
is
Minister.
committed to trying to ensure that they advance.
The final kick in the teeth for the North was the city of Crewe, a Cheshire town, considered to be the gateway to the north of England. It was going to be a hub location for HS2, a key town. It had even received royal assent in 2021, meaning it was written into law. At least 900 million had already been spent on this phase, including 220 million being spent on 239 properties that were in the way of HS2. Because of the HS2 station being put into place, it was going to be enveloped by a commercial hub, hopefully providing 37,000 jobs and 7,000 new homes by 2043. This has now all gone. Crewe was barely mentioned in his speech or in the report. He promised trams for Leeds, a new station for Bradford, even better connections between Manchester and Liverpool, an upgrade on the road from Scotland to the ferry to Northern Ireland. But diddly squat for Crewe. Crewe's council are now going to have to write off 8 million it's already spent on HS2 and accept that the 750 million annual gross value added to it through the railway has now gone. All of those homes, all of the farms purchased for HS2 have been bought or sold for nothing. Bearing in mind I stated earlier that the Cheshire town of Crewe was the gateway to the north, it's absolutely spellbinding that in that advert that Rishi has included Plymouth, Bristol and Littlehampton, which are clearly not in the north or the Midlands.
And for transport that will transform roads, rails and buses across the North and the Midlands. Across the North and the Midlands.
In the 40-page prospectus for Network North the Prime Minister unveiled last week, subtitled Transforming British Transport, one area of the North is Plymouth. Who's in charge of geography for the Conservative Party?
Well, as you can see
Is
from
it
that,
Homer Simpson, or have you got
as
Bart?
you can see from that document, Nick, it both talks about unlocking investment in the North and the Midlands. It talks about transferring the money
But
from
Plymouth
HS2's
isn't the North or
west.
the Midlands,
it talks
Minister.
about
Almost overnight, there were broken promises. After Sunak's speech, the government issued a list of projects to which it was committed. One of these read, the Leamside Line, closed in 1964, will also be reopened. Come the next morning, the promise to reinstate the 21-mile route in County Durham had mysteriously disappeared from the Network North prospectus. The Transport Minister, Richard Holden, told the local Democracy Reporting Service the government was now only committed to looking into it. There's little in Network North about creating new capacity on the chock-a-block West Coast Main Line, north of Birmingham, particularly the Castlefield corridor into Manchester, which is classed by Network Rail as officially congested. According to Craig Brown, the deputy leader of Cheshire East Council,
The rail journey from Crewe to Manchester on the West Coast Main Line is mostly 2 tracks, one in each direction, which means you can only go at the speed of the slowest train.
but of course, that's now gone, and he's trying to make out that what he's doing is for a benefit of the North. We also have Bristol, a lovely city, which is north of Devon and Cornwall. It had opportunities snatched away from it as well. With a quick swipe of the delete key, on Wednesday, government documents promised $100 million for mass transit system for Bristol to revolutionise travel in and around Bristol. On Thursday, that pledge had vanished. It appeared to have been replaced with a broader pledge to give the west of England combined authority $100 million, which it could spend on various things in their region. Again, not in the North.
Across the North and the Midlands.
And there was one more southern project. Network North committed to upgrading the A259 from Bognor Regis to that well-known northern city of Southampton. But on Thursday, ministers admitted they actually meant Littlehampton, 45 miles away. The whole point of HS2 was supposed to take the fastest intercity services off the main line, freeing up space for far more local services. It was meant to be an upgrade project for the North, and it was meant to help connect the whole of the UK. No doubt some of these projects will work, but it feels like a train crash. And it feels, again, that the Westminster bubble is there, because they don't even know where half these cities are, and they seem to be talking about the North and the Midlands, and that every penny would go up there, and yet money's been diverted to the South. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Once again, thank you to all of my Patreon and YouTube supporters. You keep this channel going and growing. If you'd like to help the channel, please click that like and subscribe button. You've gone this far, so I must be doing something right. Once again, thanks for listening. Bye for now.